Hmm? So we will start with this.
All participants should keep their mic on mute mode so that we can all hear to what Shri Vijay.
Now see, I'm trying to explain this in a tabular form. Because if we read, there are so many sections, subsections, subsections and all. So what I am going to do, what is included and what is excluded. Now, included or excluded, they are determined by two things. Number one, it is explicitly written in the law itself. And implicit means we have to imply. We have to assume that when it is written like this, that means it is like this. And so that is called implicit. Now, in explicit inclusion, there are three allowances: basic wage, dearness allowance, and retention allowance. Now, what is so far, our concept was that overtime, PF and all, it was to be paid on basic plus DA. That was the general impression. Now it is not that. Salary in this very definition, three words are included. One is wages, another is remuneration, and third is emoluments. All the three are confusing. So here, when I say wages, we have to presume that it is only those allowances which attract consequential burden. Remuneration means it is all allowances and all. Basic DA plus allowances. And emolument means it is cost to the company. And so this, for the sake of simplicity, I will use these words. So now, definition part, it has been explicitly included in the definition itself that basic wage, dearness allowance, and retention allowance, they are part of wages. Now, what is retention allowance? Retention allowance may not be of much importance to the factories which are running round the clock and which has got a continuous process. Retention allowance is normally given to seasonal workers of seasonal factories where they are like sugarcane industry and all. They work for 6 months and then for 6 months they don't work. But due to manpower problem, we have to retain them so that they come even after 6 months also, again when the season starts. Then we have to retain them. They should not go somewhere else. They should not accept employment somewhere else. Otherwise, the employer will end into problem. And that is why retention allowance of token amount is given to them, that even if they are unemployed, they will get some money, so that they continue with us. So that is inclusion, and inclusion explicitly. It is written in the law. Another is exclusion, and that exclusion is explicit. Means it is categorically written. It is categorically written in the definition itself that amenities like house rent allowances, electricity, water, medical facilities, because they are all cost to the company. So such kind of amenities, they are excluded. Why it is excluded, that also I will come to in this slide only. But amenities, conveyance and planning, defray expenses, HRA, commission, overtime, bonus, PF contribution, gratuity, award settlement, and terminal benefit. These are all excluded in Act itself. If you see the definition, it is categorically written that these are excluded from the definition of wages. Now the crux lies here. This is most important. It is included, but we imply in the sense that we assume that it is included. And how it is, and we have to assume. So we have to assume based on the, not based on nomenclature of the allowance, but what logic is there, what law, on what logic it is given. And all further simple language, if I say, when it is paid to all, it is universal allowance. For example, special allowance. We are going to, we are giving to workmen also, we are going to giving to staff also. That means it is universal allowance. Whether you attend office or not, or sorry, whether you come and production is zero, we have not fulfilled the condition because production is zero, maybe because of breakdown or something. But still you are getting this salary. So it is universal. There is no condition here, there is no if and but, and it is paid to all, staff and workmen. And that is why it is called universal allowance. Now, this is the trap. This is the trap. And last one, excluded implicitly. Okay, that is not much important. Now, what is universal? I want to go into specificity. So, I will just say what is universal allowance. See, it is paid to all without condition of if and but, nothing to do with extra effort or opportunity, and paid unconditionally. So if you are paying something like this, then you have to include this in your wages. And when you include in your wages, that means it will attract overtime, it will attract provident fund, it will attract gratuity, it will increase leave encashment, everything, even bonus and gratuity, everything is included. But if if the allowance is not universal, it is paid to specific category without with condition, and extra effort is required here. Now, for example, I tell you that for some senior managers, we are providing vehicle. Now it is paid only to senior managers. So rest of the people, they are gone. When rest of the people are gone, it is not at all a universal allowance. So here it is better that before this course come into force, we should review our wage structure, our service, our salary structure. And wherever possible, you keep a ratio of 50-50, that I am coming to next slide, that what is that 50-50. But as far as possible, try to keep balance. Included should be about 50% and excluded should also be around 50%. Why it is like that, that I am coming to you in the next slide. See, now what new law says, that as I told you, I am going to refer three nomenclature: wage, then remuneration, and emoluments. Now here, now there are three possibilities I am telling you. First, you start that in your company, basic DA and special allowance, they are 500 rupees. And other allowances like special allowance or something like that, they are 500. That means total your wage, total remuneration is 1000 rupees, out of which 500 falls in the category of wages and 500 falls in the category of allowances. So if it is 50-50 ratio, 50-50 ratio means around 45-55, it is okay. Then in that case, the company will not have additional financial burden. The company will not have additional financial burden. Now, for example, this is hypothetical case. Now, statutory compliance by the company and statutory deduction from the wages of worker. Now, this 22 and 18, they are only for the sake of brevity and just to give an example. Actual, the statutory may differ. So, this amount is just hypothetical. So here also, if you see the CTC, it remains the same. Why it remains the same? Because wages and other allowances are equal, and the consequential burden will be attracted only on 500 rupees. Now coming to this, that after deduction, I mean, because employees' contribution will also be deducted, ESI, provident fund, and all. So his take-home salary will be 800. Now, apart from this, what is not included in the or what is already addressed in the definition part, that overtime. We assume that one person is doing overtime for 5 months, 5 shifts in a month. Second thing, gratuity. Though we are giving after 5 years, but we are making provision every year. Leave encashment. Now about leave encashment also there are provisions. Now 50% of the leave encashment should be done on the conclusion of calendar year. So these are the deductions. So the CTC to the company will be what? 1,322. That is CTC to company. What goes out of the pocket of employer. But take-home salary will be 800 rupees. Why? Because some of the amount is that employee contribution that has been deducted. So here, I mean, it is not before means before implementation of new code, and after means after implementation of code. So here it will not make much difference. Now the real tricky thing is second example, and many companies they do like this, including myself, that we try to keep basic plus DA as low as possible so that low consequential burden is achieved. We keep, say, hypothetically, we keep 300 rupees. And allowances, other allowances, like some allowances, cycle allowances, and banana allowances, and all that. These are where the consequential burdens are not attractive. So as a result, what happens that though our remuneration in table 1 and table 2, they are same, but the consequential burden will vary. How? On 300 rupees, the statutory compliance, that is EF and all, it will be only 66%, and statutory deduction from the worker, that will be 54. So in this case, I mean, let us not go head by head, but here two aspects are necessary. Number one, CTC to the company will be 1,193, but take-home salary will be 880. Now here the core says that this 300 and 700, that ratio is skewed, and it should be 50%, means 50%. The allowances or the wages which attract the consequential burden should be 50% of remuneration, and other allowances which are not attracting provident fund, they will also, I mean, that should also be 50%. So prima facie, if you see, I mean, it is shaded the line that CT, the remuneration is same, but the financial impact is different. Now here, now this is the most important, the red color is the most important column. Now, for example, you keep 300 rupees. okay, we don't want to include in our basic plus. Then what happens? Though it is 300 rupees, it will be assumed that it is 500. And your provident fund, your ESI, and like overtime, gratuity, reimbursement, it will be on 500 rupees. Though here it is 300, it will be 500. And that cannot become 500 once the code is introduced. You cannot do like this after introduction of code. After implementation of this code, we cannot make this juggler. So as a result, what happened that your remuneration will come down to 1200 because 200 rupees which are missing, that will also be added, and allowances cannot be reduced. If allowances, because it amounts to contracting out, so we cannot do that also. So the allowances will remain 700. The wages will also remain 300, but statutory compliance will be on 500. So as a result, what happens? Two things happen. Now, this is very tricky also. This is very tricky also. Here what happens? That the company's CTC increases, number one. Company's CTC increased from 1,193 to 1,322. Now, this is only for 1,000 salary. Our average salary, we say that about 7 to 8,000, and there are 200 people, so you can imagine what will be the financial impact, including overtime, gratuity. Now, if the person retires today, then okay, we can pay on basic. But if he retires after introduction of this code, then it will be on 50%, and that will be multiplied by say 25 years of service. So the amount is enormous. It is exorbitant. So it will directly impact the employer. So before implementation, before this code come into force, we can make some jugglery. That some of the allowances part we should place in 300 rupees, so that it comes to 450 or something, or 550 or something. But at least that gap is narrowed down, and our financial impact will be reduced. If we say financial impact, okay, PF, it will be a bigger amount. GSI, it will be a bigger amount. But what is exorbitant is overtime, gratuity, and leave encashment. It is going to have phenomenal impact on companies. And another thing, here I tell you that though this is a wage management system, but it is going to affect even our industrial relations. How? When you sign a settlement, management will always try to keep low CTC, and worker will always try to increase the take home salary. There is a conflict of interest. So it is going to be a big tussle between management. So now onwards, once these codes are introduced, the LTS also will become a difficult exercise. Now coming to next page. Sorry, that's column. Here also, now here it is just a reverse. That wages are 300 rupees and allowances are 700 rupees. Here it is reverse. 700 rupees is the wages and 300 is allowances. Now here the trap is that we cannot reduce 700 and add in 300. That 700 will remain 700, and that is called contracting out. In Act, it is written as contracting out. that just to reduce the consequential burden on the company, the company will not tamper with the basic and allowances. So that 700 will remain 700 and the consequential burden will be on 700 rupees. So got the point? 500, if we have got 500, even after implementation, we will not have much problem. If we have got 700 rupees basic and 300 allowances, then also we will not have much impact. But those whose basic, that means basic plus J is 300 and other allowances are 700, they have it. They will face problem. So you have got some time before introduction, you can make some jugglery in a legal manner through MOM or through LPS. You can do that. We cannot do it without the consent of workers. So we have to take workers into confidence and we can make this jugglery. And if it is not done before introduction of code, then this perennial cost will increase perennially. Next. This column is most important. No, this column is most important. So that you keep in mind. Now again, there are some theoretical part. I will not go much into it. The central government has now introduced fixed floor wage. Now, floor wage, it is decided by the central. What is the objective of this? Now, suppose the minimum wage in Gujarat is say 100 rupees, but minimum wage in Maharashtra it is 300 rupees. Maybe because of cost of living. But if you go to Assam, it is 50 rupees minimum wage. So now, in order to avoid this discrepancy, the central government will declare the four wages, whether it is in Kashmir or whether it is in Kanyakumari. I mean the floor wage, your minimum wage should not be below floor wage. And that floor wage is decided by central government every 5 years. Based on this floor wage, now state government will come. And the state government will decide the minimum wage, which should not be lesser than floor wages. Clear? Now, similarly, now what is happening? This is the same thing that in minimum wages also we have got wages plus clearness allowed. So wages is basic will increase every 5 years and allowances will increase by every 6 months. So here you have to have some local networking, either with government labor officer or your industrial association, that you get this notification right in time. Because the most important part of this code is statutory compliance. If there is a default in statutory compliance, the punishment is exorbitant. It has increased manifold. Sometimes, somewhere it is 10 times more, 20%, 20 times more. So, I mean, we have to have network. And best, I think the best network, source of network is our industries association. So, they should keep in mind, they should give very in advance so that the personnel people can also decide. Now, here again, I will address in next slide also. But when the DA is going to increase 6 months, every 6 months, whenever you sign a job work, then what will happen? How will you calculate your DA labor cost? So that also you should keep in mind that when you enter into a piece rated, so other expenses are there and this labor cost that will vary in between during the year. So that also you should keep. Today minimum wage is 100 rupees. So we cannot have it on 100 rupees. Then other expenses, operational expenses, administrative expenses, raw material expenses, they may remain same. But the wages will it will change after 6 months. So your contract should be flexible enough to take care of this variation. Now there are two rates of minimum wages. One is time work and another is piece work. This is just for theoretical part. If minimum wage, sorry. Now another thing, some people they are dividing monthly wages by 30 or 31. It is wrong and it is punishable. It should always be divided by 26. Right? Then only you will come to average one shift salary. And when you calculate monthly salary divided by 26, whatever amount comes, that is the per shift 100% allowance, and that 100% we have to increase in case of overtime. So when we multiply by 26, definitely the amount will increase. So your overtime amount will also increase. Now here also there are certain, now this is very important. So far what we were doing, skill we were deciding. Even if the person is highly skilled, we used to keep him in unskilled category. Why? Because our labor cost is not increased. So we were getting the work done in for highly skilled work, but actually he is placed in unskilled work, so that he gets lesser amount. Now Schedule E, it has listed down about 650, more than 650 designations and categories where which work is skilled, which work is highly skilled, which work is SSK, and which work is UNSK. So you remember this Schedule E, it contains about 650 plus categories. So there you can, because now what happens, now suppose you have kept somebody, he is our relative or he is a man of government officer, he might have told contractor that take this person. So in order to increase his CTC, we will place him in HSK. But when this law introduced, that category will come into unskilled. So what to do? So we have to find out the ways. We have to find out the ways that how to adjust this. Even reverse is also difficult because at the moment he is in unskilled work, but actual work what he is doing as per Schedule E is highly skilled. Then that person may resist that when I am doing highly skilled work, why I am doing unskilled work? You will go to government labor officer or labor commissioner. You will raise the dispute. So, I mean, these are certain tricky issues. So, you have to first list down all the employees, all the skill existing and existing skill. Then we have to sit with the concerned department head, and you should categorize based on this. Now, here also there are two aspects. That is theoretical aspect. While deciding the skill, we have to take into consideration the mental aspect and physical aspect. Physical aspect means how assiduous the work is, and skill means how much brain we have to use. So this particular part is also very tricky. And if we do it last moment, then we will have a lot of labor problem. Labor problem not only among regular workmen, but even among contract labor also. Okay, now we are going to next slide. Now there are certain things, few changes are there. In case of company worker, wages can be paid in cash. But in case of contract labor, it is only to check or crediting in bank or electronic mode. In contract labor, cash transaction is a sacrilege. It is a sacrilege. So, I mean, the person is even punishable also. And maximum irregularity takes place in cash transaction. Though I have not paid in the advance, we mentioned in wait slip that we have paid him 1,000 rupees as advance, and that 1,000 rupees the contractor will keep in his pocket. So now the very first thing is that try to avoid advance, practice of advance. Try to avoid. Now, in case, rarest in the rare case it happens, then you can do one thing. Ask him to give advance only through electronic proof. And he should produce the evidence. That evidence will be used while preparing wage slip. So this is also a tricky situation. And another thing what I have, the another part in deduction, is that here also the principle of 50-50 applies. Third thing, the current law on deduction is what? It should be 50% of total remuneration, and if the company has got cooperative society, then the deduction can increase up to 75%. So my salary is 1,000 rupees, and the company, there is no existence of cooperative society in the company by employee or company or whatever it is. In that case, we have to restrict the deduction to 50%. And whatever is left out, that should be carried forward till that 50% is not taken. So if my basic salary is 500 rupees and my deduction, my total salary remuneration is 1,000 rupees and deduction is 700 rupees, I can deduct only 500 rupees, not more than that. And residual for 200 rupees, we have to carry forward. And even next month also, if it exceeds 200, then we have to again carry forward the excess deduction. Till that 50% limit is achieved. So this is a trap for the company. So I personally feel that as far as possible, the practice of advance or loan should be avoided. Now, in many companies, the person comes with a request that I am constructing a house and I have taken a loan of 10 lakhs rupees, and it will be deducted from my wages. So you give the authorization or consent that okay, on your behalf, we will deduct the salary from this workman or employee and we will deposit to your bank. Now, here also, I mean, it should not exceed 50%. So what will happen? The bank will come to us. Bank will not go to workman. Bank will come to us that we have already given a commitment and that much that much installment we have not paid. So before starting the implementation of this wage code, it is better that you meet our bank manager and tell them that now either we have got two things. One is we pay according to your contract, then we are violating labor act. And if we do not pay, if we do not pay, then the provision of your contract is violated. So under such circumstances, first we have to see about our compliances Because in our compliances, even the director is answerable, even owner is answerable. And once the matter reaches to owner, means our job is gone. Our job is gone. Any letter goes, any statutory, especially statutory. So this is one trap where you have to take abundant care. Okay, now another thing is full and final. Hmm? Acha, now another thing, mostly it is monthly. Earlier what was happening, that the contractor was submitting the bill. After 15 days, the authority used to sign, and after signing, 1 week was taken by finance department, and then it was, credited in company. Now here the trap is the 7, whatever may be your case, before the end of 7th day, the amount must have been deposited in bank account. So this is another trap. And once it is 7 to 8 means it is a default, and once it is a default, then we have to pay thousands of rupees of penalty. So what I had done in Birla was that we kept 26 to 25, and the date of paying wages was 7th of subsequent. So we get a good cushion time, and that remaining 5 days salary that we used to, we used to adjust. Hmm? So this is also one exercise. Here one exercise is your, 50% deduction is not exceed 50%, and another is these 7. These are the two salient points of this payment of wages. Now, full and final settlement. The very first sentence of full and final settlement return is the onus lies on employer that he gets full and final. So far, what was happening? We were telling that we have given this full and final form to him, but he has not yet submitted. What can I do? If he submits, we can do. If he doesn't submit, how can I do? That excuse will not be available now, and the onus lies on employer that within 2 days before the completion of next day, the the full and final should be paid. Now here, when it comes to full and final, that next point will come. But in case of migrant worker, here some person comes from Uttar Pradesh. Now you have deducted something, and then you realize that you have forgotten to recover 12,000 rupees. So they were filing case in Jagadia because the cause of action was taken place in Jagadia. Now, law has categorically written that in case of migrant worker, once you have settled means settled, you can neither file a suit in Jagadia or his native place. Because many people suffered, and the Union Committee also, proposed to government that our people are facing lot of problems. The cause of they are in Uttar Pradesh, the cause of action lies in Baroda, or it lies in Bharuch. So every time our person cannot come to Bharuch. So to simplify this, full and final should be completed within 2 days. And the base thing is, onboarding and offboarding used to be a very categorical, statement. You should have both for onboarding and onboarding, okay, but for offboarding, you should have such a meticulous form so that we can settle this within 2 days. That is the only option available with us. Because earlier we used to excuse that employee has not given. Now the ownership lies on us. Now unpaid wages. Earlier what was happening? If the person has gone or the person is terminated, many times it has become a fashion not to take the full and final out of ignorance. That if I take full and final amount, that means I have settled this. And sometimes it happens that, okay, he has absconded and he has not taken that amount. The current practice is Gujarat Labour Welfare Fund. We used to deduct this amount, we used to deposit that amount in Labour Welfare Fund. When the officer comes, he inspects, and when he writes something in the visit book, then only we used to pay. And even if we don't pay, there was no prosecution. Now government has told that if the person doesn't appear or person has died is different thing. The person has not attended. He has absconded, and the name of nomination is there. So if that nomination person is not there, but his nomination is there, in that case, within 3 months we have to settle. But we should see that the nomination form is complete. There should not be any anomaly in the nomination form. And now another case, nomination is also not there, or the nomination is doubtful. Then what happens? Okay, we try to find out if we get it lawfully, and if it is in order, then within 6 months we should try to find out, and we are unable to find out the nominee, then we have to deposit his amount in labor authority. Now, which will be the authority that Gujarat labor law, Gujarat rules will tell, which has not yet been released. So, in case of normal absconding, within 3 months we have to deposit, and in case of death or nominee is doubtful, within 6 months. Sorry, after 15 days, during 15 days after 6 months. On lapse of 6 months, within 15 days, you have to deposit. Then your role is over. Your role is over. You get a clear-cut certificate that there is no fault on our side. We have deposited in government department. If the person comes, then we have to tell that okay, you go there and collect from government authority. Now, many people, they were making money out of it in the sense that they were not paying. For years together, they were keeping with the company only. So now that thing has gone. And sometimes, and most of the time, we used to deposit in Gujarat Labour Welfare Fund. And that too, when if the person comes, the official comes and deposits. And so now all these things, all anomalies have been eradicated. Now, as I told you, employer's responsibility ends here, and labor department, now in rules also, central rule. And so most probably the state rule also will be at par with central rules only. It will not go beyond that. But as per central rules, the labor department, maybe assistant commissioner, deputy commissioner, or government labor officer, he has to approach the collector and all that. That is his baby. That is his baby. And another care what we have to take is that whatever statutory nomination forms are there, we should ensure that they are written in totality and nothing is missing, which give rise to anomaly. And another thing, we should have one parallel. We should obtain 2 nomination certificates. One is as per act and one is general. In general, we should write that whatever is not mentioned in statutory forms or for which I have not filled up statutory form, for such people, my nominee is this. so that there is no entry. Otherwise, lot of complications take place. So we should always have a general nomination form apart from statutory nature, a statutory nomination form, right? Now overtime. Now overtime, as I have told you, that overtime should be on 50% of wages, whether your wages is 300 or whether it is 500. And even 300 rupees, in case of 300, the wage will be different. It will be on 500. So overtime will also increase. And for monthly wages, it should be, this I have already repeated. Now, another thing, that workman has to be retained on overtime only with the consent of worker. If the worker says that no, I don't want to do overtime, he cannot enforce. But there are some cut short, there are some practical ways which are not legal. But there are ways and we have to implement them. Now, for example, how I tell you, the workman has to be retained on overtime only with the consent. But they have not returned whether it is consent, written consent or oral consent. They have not written. So in this case, if the person says no, we can issue super notice, conduct inquiry, and the verbal evidence, witnesses. So I mean, these are the loopholes also. But the law is that we cannot enforce the employee to work on overtime. Now, even in overtime also there were some. Another thing, payment of overtime wage cannot be carried forward. Means January salary we should pay in February. Now, particularly this overtime part, we cannot pay in September. That okay, I mean it is less than 50%, so overtime part we will give later. No, it should be in the very next month. It cannot be carried forward. Another is payment of overtime cannot be carried forward. Yeah, I mean here some rounding off is done. There were some ambiguity. The person used to overstay for 5 minutes and then he was claiming for overtime. Now, for the sake of simplicity, they have written that if the person, my shift over is up to 5 o'clock, I go before 5:15, then it is 0. Overtime will not be given on 15%. But if he goes between 5:15 and 5:30, then we have to pay half an hour overtime. And if it is between 30 minutes to 60 minutes, then it should be considered as additional 1 hour. I think that is simple. Another thing, earlier there was a ceiling. The person cannot be retained on overtime beyond 75% in a quarter, calendar quarter. It should not be. Now here they have given relaxation because they have also seen that practically this is not possible. So stringent law will not work. The law should be such which can be implemented. So they have increased to 125 hours per quarter. Now here also, because I have done a lot of Pareto analysis on this, we find that 80% of the overtime is done by 20%. Then in many, even in Reliance it was happening. Even in Reliance it was happening. I carried out a Pareto analysis and the ratio was like this. In my previous, I was in Jharkhand, there the ratio was a little skewed, but it was 15%, 15% of the employees were doing 50% of the work. Now, why this is happening? The very first thing is either the person doesn't want to work, and number two, he cannot work independently. He wants to do it, but he cannot do it independently. So somebody has to be retained. So the person who is expert, he always is retained on overtime. So the solution for this is multitasking training. We should train the people in multitasking so that imbalance in number of people and hours of overtime can be minimized. And gradually after training, start with on-the-job training on experimental basis, and likewise we can tell that if you want overtime, then you have to learn the skill. You should acquire the skill, otherwise it is not possible. It is a hazardous process and you cannot leave the whole plant to you independently. Acha. Now, previously, even 75 hours also had some relaxation, like war, urgent export order, and all. Now, the government has become very practical in this, that if it is an emergency, okay, is retained. I mean, in that case, we have to write something in our record that it was emergency work, blah, blah, blah. Then we can write this emergency, unforeseen, preparatory. Now, preparatory means, for example, our shift ends at 2 o'clock. First shift ends at 4 o'clock. Now, the new operation is going to start at 4 o'clock. And 2 hours are required for preparatory work. This problem particularly comes in that process. In that case, 3 hours are required for preparatory work to restart the process. As even in such cases also, they are justifiable. And another is intermittent. If the process itself is intermittent, so sometimes, he has to do at 2 o'clock, sometimes he has to do at 3 o'clock, sometimes 5 o'clock. And for that purpose, it is retained because the nature of job is intermittent. Then this is allowed. Then it can exceed even 125 per quarter also. Yeah. Now, this is also a part of gender provision. There should not be any gender discrimination. When two are doing the same or similar work. Now, this term is also very, very important. There is a categorical definition. Since I am not going to go into theoretical part, but same work and work of similar nature. Here again, the mental aspect and physical aspects are involved to determine what is the same work or what is the work of similar nature. Ultimately, it is a mixture of mental exercise and physical exercise. Another thing, if the worker is employed on time scale, these are okay. If he is a time scale, he is engaged for time 8 hours. Now, for 2 hours, there is no work. No work. The process is going to start at 4 o'clock. I have come at 2 o'clock. But because of company's problem or technical problem, so in that case, he has not worked for 2 hours, for which he is not responsible. And hence, he has to be paid the total wages of 8 hours. But if it is because of his own unwillingness, the process is on and he has absconded somewhere for loitering. In that case, we can deduct his salary for 2 hours following the principle of natural justice. And so this you can do. But engaging on time scale for 8 hours, actually he is working only for 6 hours because for 2 hours his presence was not required. So in such cases, we cannot deduct his salary unless we apply no work, no pay, and no work, no pay will apply only Now real work. Now same is real work. We the person sometimes in first shift he is doing highly skilled job and in second shift he is doing skill job. Eh? So in this case, actually he is in say skilled job. And second half he is doing for highly skilled work. So we have to see that injustice is not done and he is paid minimum wage for highly skilled. Now if worker is employed on piece rated, this is a blah blah. If worker is employed on piece rated work, ensure that his salary is not lesser than the time rated. So our this is more a job of commercial department. They should determine. It should be the labor part should be because the commercial department or the financial department will arrive at the piece rated unit based on many other factors. So that time the factor of labor cost will also come in play. So that time they should take into consideration. And last point, if the contract worker does the same or similar work like permanent, now this was about contract labor. Now the same thing is for permanent. Of course, these are all theoretical. We are doing many times like this, but law has written that I am a contract labor. I have done job of permanent worker, then I should be paid permanent wages of permanent worker. These are all theoretical things. There are many ways to escape from this. I am not wasting more time on this. Again, general provision. See, these are the new gig worker and platform worker. Now here also I tell you one thing. Actually, gig and platform worker, we have nothing to do with them. The aggregator is the employer of those people. So they have to ensure that the provident fund is, deducted or any social security provision, they are paid by aggregator who is a contractor, who is a master for gig worker and platform worker. Now, gig worker and platform worker, I will say the Zomato, very famous example. Now, suddenly, now we don't know that today there is some guests are coming, and suddenly they come and we want a good food. So we talk to Zomato that in this company you please provide. Now we have to pay 1,000 rupees, then we pay 1,000 rupees. And employer was not covering the workman under that Zomato's employee into social compliance. Now the aggregator has to pay social compliance contribution to the government. So here the only impact on company will be financial impact. Say for every bill or for every delivery, we will charge some 50 paisa extra. That's all. There is nothing more. Same thing is building and other construction work. So here there are some conditions. Number one is here also, the most important aspect is government is going to form building, the sales and welfare fund for building contractor. This is already existing. I think from 2007 or something, this is in currency, that contractor is responsible for compliance. Is not applicable if the labor is lesser than 10, then construction is for residential purpose, and third is the cost is lesser than 50,000. In that case, we have not to charge sales. Now, sales again. Now the employer has to assess the sales for the construction of the building, and the contractor also has to carry out the assessment, and they have to tally what is the real cost of the project and what is the construction amount involved. then the contractor will deduct minimum 1% and maximum 5%. Maximum 5% of the construction cost, and he will deposit it in the welfare fund of building and construction work. So here also we have not to see much, except this PF and other things we have to just glance over that. But basically the sales and all that, that will be the responsibility of builder, the contract. Next. Okay, general provisions. Probably, a migrant. Now, migrant is the most important aspect. What is migrant worker? Migrant worker means a person who has come for employment or who is given employment in different states. For example, Uttar Pradesh. We engage contract labor from Uttar Pradesh because Gujarati people, local people are working with us. They are not working much. While the outside people, they are working very hard. So we, engage worker from Uttar Pradesh. Now Uttar Pradesh is interstate हो गया इसका. So in that case, this case is applicable. His act is applicability and coming to that, but not only when he comes, even when we engage or he comes on his own, he will be treated as migrant worker. Now here is migrant worker when it is applicable, when it is less than 10 people, then it is not applicable. But 10 people means 10 people either through contractor or companies work, companies do. If lesser than 10 migrant laborers are there, then this is not applicable. But if it is more than 10, then we have to go into the portal, we have to register them. And similarly, we should insist to contractor that you register them. The best option is not to declare him as migrant labor. That is the best solution. There are some loopholes. I will not go into that. But theoretically, if he is an interstate migrant worker, then we have a different treatment. What is that different treatment? Every year we have to reimbursement. We have to reimburse to and fro second class railway fare every year. And that will be a lump sum amount, but that lump sum amount should not be lesser than the second class railway fare. All these have come in after this corona pandemic. Because there were many problems, so this was included little later. Then, in 1 year, this should be given in 1 year. Apart from that, this is not for us, this is for contractor, that public distribution, ration card, and toll free, all this that contractor has to comply with. But most important thing is that here again one point is there. Now the interstate migrant has joined amidst the year. In the middle of the year, then what to do? He has to complete 1 year. And now he has got 80 days. He has worked only for 80 days in this. In that case, if he brings the certificate of previous employer that he has worked for so many days in that company and then he joins here, then we are bound to pay. Otherwise, we should complete minimum 80 days. Then only he will be eligible for benefits like this. Now, these are some of the offenses and penalties. Now, for example, employee pays lesser wage to the employee, Then what is stipulated? On first occasion, it is 50,000. Earlier, what was that? I don't remember. Must be 10 rupees or 50 rupees or 100 rupees, not more than that. Now, within 5 years, we again repeat the same thing. Again repeat the same thing in 5 years. Then it will be 1 lakh rupees and 3 months imprisonment. So that is also written in schedule. So I will not just read it out, but these are the 4 offences which attract penalty and imprisonment. They are there in the rules. They are there in the rules. So you can go through that. I will not read out this. Similarly, now the forms, earlier so many forms were there, now there are only 6 forms. The 6 forms are bigger. So ultimately, for us, it is one and the same thing. The data which were written in different forms, now they will be written in one form. So that part, time office will have to be very careful. They should have all the data. Yes. Now, my job is over. Here, if you have got any doubt, you can ask me now, or this is my mobile number. You can ask me at any time. I will be at your disposal.